Leave your comments on the Ask Reddit sub, and I'll read your answers on the next episode of LWIAR. Which one of history's good guys was actually a horrible person? Not necessarily a good guy, but got lots of positive attention from the release of The Greatest Showman. Apparently P.T. Barnum was a terrible person in real life. I realized during the movie that the real guy must have been a terrible butthole. My girlfriend and her family wouldn't buy it. I'll never forget how my then father-in-law told us that the character of Barnum should be an example for us in life. He got his start at age 25 when he purchased the right to rent an aged black woman by the name of Joyce Head. Joyce Head was also paralyzed except for one arm, and he worked her to death and did her autopsy in front of people in the street and then said it wasn't her. The Greatest Showman is the film P.T. Barnum would release about himself. I think I heard that that was what the makers were going for. I remember someone on our Fixing Movies said the perfect way to end the film would have been to have P.T. Barnum look directly at the camera, say, "And that's how it really happened," wink, and then cut to credits. If I had any money whatsoever, I would fund it toward making that ending and re-releasing all of the streams and DVDs with it. Imagine looking like this and casting Hugh Jackman to play you. Ironically enough, I actually see it. Yeah, if P.T. was Hollywooded up and in better shape, that's not far off. Amazing entrepreneur, yes. Hilarious scam artist, also yes. Evil motherfricker, abso-fricking-lutely. Edit. So from some of the replies, he may not have been very evil, but he certainly wasn't the best. Still think he's an absolute mad lad for some of the stuff he put on exhibition. Considering he's usually attributed the phrase, "there's a sucker born every minute." I can kinda see that. Edit. Since I've had like 6 people tell me he didn't actually say that, I'll just put my response to that in the main post. I know. That's why I said he was attributed it, and not that he actually was fully on record saying it. That's commonly attributed to him, but I believe there's no real evidence he said that. But it should be noted that he once purchased an elderly black woman and claimed she was a 160 years old and George Washington's wet nurse. You didn't see that in the movie. Edit. It should also be noted that The Greatest Showman not only exalted a man who actively exploited and tricked people, but it vilified genuinely good people, such as James Gordon Bennett Sr., who was known as a journalist exposing hucksters like Barnum, and Jenny Lind, who used her earnings from her American tour to fund free schools in her home country. She did not get jealous when he rebuffed her. She found his relentless marketing disconcerting. That movie is as greasy as P.T. Barnum. My favorite story about him is the Egress. He put up a sign in one of his showrooms that said, "Come see the amazing Egress. $1. A lot of people bought tickets only for the door to lead back outside. Egress is a fancy way to say exit. He also sewed a mummified monkey top half to the back half of a fish and called it a mermaid. Edit. He didn't actually sell tickets to the Egress. He put signs for it at the end of his exhibit to get people to stop lingering and crowding it. Still a pretty funny joke. You know, he would have bought a ticket and been like, "Wait, frick," at the end. The reference to this in Discworld also mentions that there's a bouncer with a dictionary stationed near said Egress, in case someone felt like complaining. Henry Ford was so anti-Semitic that Hitler considered him a hero. I was reading your post and thought it would end with that Hitler thought he should chill. Brave New World makes a whole lot more sense now. How? I haven't read the book. Basically, bunch of genetically identical people idolize assembly lines and worship Henry Ford as their god. Yes, it's as weird as it sounds. At the time they seemed so out there, but I'm very glad. Brave New World, The Giver, 1984 and Catch-22 were all part of my primary, secondary school curriculum. Definitely complex concepts that didn't sink in initially, but very important themes to teach children. America's Dad, Bill Cosby. Who was the mom? Sleeping Beauty. This comment deserves a gold. I don't get it. Edit. Oh wait. Too poor are we to gift a talent? The only gift I can give is a laugh. We've been watching 30 Rock in our house lately, and in a recent episode that predated the Cosby revelations by a few years, Tracy Morgan makes a joke about Cosby being a terrible person for assaulting his aunt. That was pretty crazy to hear in context today. Fun fact, Hannibal Buress was a writer on 30 Rock, and would go on to blow up this whole Cosby thing years later by making a joke about it in his stand-up. 30 Rock has a whole lot of Cosby references and they're almost all negative. As the other guy said, Hannibal Buress knew. My recollection is that most people in Hollywood knew to some extent. But like most powerful men in Hollywood, the allegations against him didn't get taken seriously. Hannibal Buress didn't know what kind of reaction he was going to get. He'd done the bit before, and wasn't trying to start a national scandal about it. He was just doing a joke for his comedy routine, and this time his Cosby bit went viral. Just pointing out that 1. Many more people knew about Cosby the entire time, and 2. Buress wasn't trying to be an activist when he sparked the fire. Just being a comedian. Didn't either Seth MacFarlane or Ricky Gervais make jokes about Harvey Weinstein being at least a very well-known creep years before Me Too actually being a thing? Probably. Remember Courtney Love said, "Don't go to Harvey's office," on a red carpet, which led to her being smeared across the media. It was also common knowledge that Kevin Spacey preyed on young men. Lots of these things are swept under the carpet because these people can truly frick over many other powerful people. When I was a kid, I loved Jim or Fix-It and wanted to go on the show. My parents actively discouraged it, and I'm pretty sure any letters I sent went straight into the bin. They were in the police, and he was a massive pedophile who abused kids in hospital. She even prefaced that she'd get libeled if she said that. When even Courtney Love is getting scared about something like that, that says a lot. Courtney Love may not be the world's sweetest person or smartest person or a moral paragon. But if you ever read her lengthy breakdown of how the music industry financially screws artists, you'd know that she is bright, and opinionated, and quite gutsy. I have a lot of respect for her. www.salon.com. Alfred Hitchcock was in Butthole, Sexual Predator. Tippi Hedren wrote about it in her memoir. She did say he was a brilliant film marker. So you can be both. Why so many directors predators, man? I just don't get it. Luckily, no other famous directors were sexual predators. I've been roaming around this thread looking for this reference. I can hardly believe you said that. Would he been better if he had stayed put? No need to whine about it, geez. It's just a matter of cause and effect. BILLCOSBY. Yo, Hitchcock is so fricked up. He was famous for pulling pranks, like chaining a dude up over a long night and giving him a bottle of whiskey laced with serious laxatives. So he shat himself, painfully, in chains, for 12 hours or so. He made the actress from Psycho, Janet Leigh, stand in the shower for almost a week. She only takes baths now. The degree to which he abused Tippi Hedren during that scene from The Birds is wow. He literally threw birds at her for 5 days. 8 hours a day, so that they were pissed off and actually attacked her. Even after her doctor told him she couldn't take any more, she still has scars, not to mention the sexual assaults and the threats to ruin her career if she didn't comply. He sent her daughter, Melanie Griffith, a really lifelike doll of her mother, dead in a coffin. She was 8. Dude was fricked. Behind the Bastards does a great couple episodes about him. Those are just the ones I remember off the top of my head from 2+ hours of it. He did send her daughter what now? No wonder his most famous work was named Psycho, for frick's sake. That makes sense then. Probably tough to prop her up for a shower. I think this is where someone comes in and says, Jesus Christ, Reddit. That's good advice. When it comes to raising corpses, call an expert. Thomas Edison, biggest monopolist ever and took credit for other people's work. He didn't invent the light bulb but bought the rights and advanced it. He monopolized the film projector plus most films at the time, and it took a very long lawsuit to get that fixed. He took many creations from his employees and put his name on it. This wasn't illegal because of the contracts employees signed at the time, but it's not exactly a sign of goodwill. I don't hate the guy, but his character is often completely exaggerated. This wasn't illegal because of the contracts employees signed at the time, but it's not exactly a sign of goodwill. This still happens today in some scientific fields like chemistry. Discover a new element while still a lab assistant. Yeah, you better believe that your superior will name it and write at least one book about how he found it. When you work as a software engineer for Google, they make you sign a contract saying all code you write while they employ you, they own. Even if you wrote a script to automate your coffee maker over the weekend, they still own it. Edit. To those saying, this isn't legally enforceable, I didn't say it is. It's still in their contract. To those saying, they all do that, I've also worked at Facebook and Microsoft and they didn't do that. To those saying, that's not true, I just looked up my old contract. Or, a sample of it they sent to me by email. And yes, it is true. I don't know if it would be legal to share a screenshot. But the clause is called assignment of inventions, and I'll paraphrase it here. With some exceptions. California Labor Code Section 2870. Ownership of all my inventions while employed by Google, including during my off-duty hours, or with the use of Google's property I hereby irrevocably assign to Google. I was hired in 2015, so I can't tell you whether they have removed or altered this clause since then. TBF, Musk is basically Edison, except Musk also stole Edison's grift and named his company Tesla to top it off. He didn't name the company Tesla though. He bought the company and the rights to call himself the founder. The two guys who did found the company are contractually prohibited from referring to themselves as such. Corrected by replies below. Thomas Edison and Henry Ford's winter homes are in my city. As soon as students are in 3rd grade, all the schools would bring us to their homes, and really try to make you believe both of them were good people. Oh, Ford is by far 100 times worse than Edison. Edison was a thief. Ford was a literal Nazi sympathizer, even received one of Nazi Germany's highest civilian awards and was responsible for writing The International Jew, a major anti-Semitic work that Hitler himself admired. You'd be horrified at how many of our idolized businessmen from the 20s and 30s were super anti-Semitic, and some of them were full-on fascist. Edison was a thief. I made it, she whispered. I made it. She cried. I made it, she said, in her pleasure and pride. I made an invention of virtue and worth. I thought of a thing that could further the earth. Just look at my notes, she explained to a friend. So Edison looked at the words she had penned. What say you? She asked, with a nod of her head. He pondered a moment. I made it, he said. And then BSP. Caret. I think we'd be horrified today if we knew how many of our current industry leaders were the same. I'm horrified enough already. In this thread, a lot of people who were never considered good guys. Unpopular opinion, dog lover and painter Adolf Hitler did some pretty questionable stuff in the 30s. Really changed his ways in the 40s though. Even killed a genocidal dictator. Yeah, but he also killed the guy that killed Hitler. Yeah, kinda questionable. Steve Jobs was a bit of an butt. Bit was an understatement. The guy was a massive credit hog, abused his employees and normalized a lot of crap business practices that are now used by several other companies. A bit. You should read Small Fry. Steve Jobs was a tremendous butthole. He should also read the Walter Isaacson biography. He was a massive tremendous butthole. Literally abandoned his daughter because he didn't want to be a dad. Screaming at people over the shade of yellow on the Google screen on iPhone. Thought he could cure his cancer with diet. He was given a night shift at Atari because he smelled so bad because he thought by eating clean he wouldn't produce any stink. Didn't he die because he refused treatment to cancer? Edit. Yes, apparently he refused loads of treatment for many years until it got worse. He had pancreatic cancer and refused to listen to his doctors for treatment. He thought he was so much smarter and he somehow came to the conclusion that an all-fruit diet would cure him. This was possibly the worst diet you can put your pancreas through and it lead to his death. Fun fact, when Ashton Kutcher was getting ready for his role as Jobs in that movie, he ate an all-fruit diet, but had to stop when he was admitted to the hospital because his pancreas started to shut down. Most Australians think Captain Cook was a pretty good dude. I think the Aboriginals would say otherwise. This thread reads like the Oatmeal's greatest hits. Thanks for watching LWIAR. The best of recent r/AskReddit submissions and comments. If you like this video, check out LWIAR too. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.